Now I humbly request Professor Dr. Priti, our worthy speaker, for an interactive talk on human rights and technological development issue. Over to Professor Priti.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rehana, the organizers of this lecture, Dr. Bilal and Professor Farooq Ahmad Mir. He has made my task very easy by laying down the field and giving the entire historical development of the human rights and its interaction with technology. So thank you very much, Professor Mir. Rightly told that there is an interplay between human rights and technological developments, and as we are moving, rather I should say that we are living into a technology-dominated age or technological era. The topic that I'll be discussing with you today is one of great importance for all of us as a human being. Because this involves many issues of law and human rights, like rightly told by Professor Mir also. Technology that is playing an important role in the lives of the people, and the rapid strides in the field of science and technology have made the human being a technological animal. Technological animal, the phrase used by M. Venkaiah Naidu, the Vice President of India, in one of his articles published recently in Hindu. We all are considering ourselves as the technological animal who is looking for the new tools, new gadgets for his never-ending ambitions. And it is desirable in that reference to anticipate some of the issues that advances in technology that will pose for the disciplines of law and human rights as such. But one thing is very clear, that science and technology are racing ahead of law. And law and human rights are looking on helplessly sometimes, because there is very little that they can do to match the speed of technology. Law moves very slowly, we all know. There is a great procedure which has to be followed, while technology moves with lightning speed rapidly. The result is that the technology is racing out of legal control and damaging human rights, destroying human rights, and it is also impacting human body, human environment, and the society where we all human lives. So the very first point that needs discussion is whatever or whether science does is for the benefit of humanity. We see that from the historical period, this view gained acceptance and it took root, it grew because of the important characteristics of the science, which says that science is value, science is the objective, science is very universal in nature. And all of these were said to be based on some excellent beliefs also. So without any obstacles, without any hindrances and impediments, science is rushing ahead of law. And we now see the fourth industrial revolution, the fourth industrial era known as the 4.0. So there are four industrial era. First, during the 18th century, the first industrial revolution took place, that was focusing on the mechanical production and steam power. Then a shift from the animal to the machine and various tools that come in the first industrial revolution. The second industrial revolution, that was the age of the science and mass production. And the outcomes of that second revolution, industrial revolutions, were engines, airplanes, and various chemical fertilizers came into existence through the scientific advancement, technological advancement. The third revolution came in the digital technologies. like communication devices, sophisticated computer systems, IT sector, that evolved, that developed. And as I told you, presently we are living in the fourth industrial revolution, which includes the new age automation, rightly told by Professor Meir. The technologies, the robots, and artificial intelligence. We are living in this era now. And all this have a wide impact on the human body, human environment, and human society. Human rights, rightly told, are universal. We are all entitled to enjoy our human rights for one simple reason, that we are human. Human rights are inherent to all the human beings. For the protection of human rights, there exist international human rights instruments. Not going into the history of the Cyrus Cylinder to that of the UDHR declaration, which has already told by Professor Meir. The international human rights instruments consist of the treaties and other international documents that are classified as declarations and conventions. Declarations like Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that was adopted by the UN General Assembly 1948, but the same is not have any actual binding force. The reason being that it's only a declaration. And declarations, though they are not binding, but they are working as a normative ground, as a soft law. However, the conventions are a group of binding legal means under international law. And you see that the United Nations drafted the most important regime of human rights known as the International Bill of Rights, which is consisting of a list of the basic human rights and a very, very broad spectrum of rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. Besides these, there are scores of international legal instruments that includes fundamental protections of human dignity, needs, and freedoms, like food, housing, privacy, personal security, and democratic participation, everything that is there we find in the international instruments. The very preamble of the United Nations Charter that again reaffirms the faith in the fundamental human rights, in the dignity, in the worth of the human person, in the equal rights of men and women. So you see that the very preamble of the United Nations that speaks about the equality, the dignity, the fundamental freedom of every person, men or women, is not material. The modern international law is based on the universal respect for and observance of the human rights and fundamental freedoms for all without any distinction on the ground of race, sex, language, or religion, whatever is to be there. That is not meaningful. So what we see that right from the United Nations Charter, then UDHR Article 1, that also speaks about the human beings, that they are born free, they are equal in dignity and the rights. Similarly, if you see the Vienna Declaration of 1993, that also encourages the respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. So we find that human rights and the fundamental freedoms are the birthright of all the human beings. Their protection and promotion is the first responsibility of the government. Besides international regime of the human rights law, there is an entire system of regional and domestic institutions and organizations which are preventing the violation of human rights, which are for the protection of the human rights of their natives, their citizens. And these regional and domestic institutions and organizations, they provide well-developed frameworks for remedy. There is mechanism also. And they articulate the application of human rights law to the changing circumstances, which includes technological developments also. So when we talk of the technology, the simple thing that comes to our mind is about comfort, efficiency, some speed or automation, like these things. And what is technology? Technology is something which speaks about the efficiency, which speaks about the speed. Or we can say that technology is science in action. It is the application of scientific knowledge to the practical aims of the human life. We as human use technology to travel, to communicate, to learn, to do the business, and to live a life of comfort. And technology has made our lives easy. Because transportation, education, learning process, rightly told that we are meeting virtually. This is all because of the technology. And it is about ensuring face-to-face communication also. I can see you, you can see me, but virtually, and this is because of the technology. It helps us to keep in touch with people who are away from us. We use the phones, we use the computers to talk to them and even to see them. So technology connects us with our healthcare providers also. Technology empowers us by giving more access and control. Our daily work office is technology based. You see that pen and paper to complete the work is rarely used now. Technology makes us feel more secure with every area in life. So whether it is a personal thing or the business, everywhere you find that the technology has its say. People are able to have the access to fresh water, fresh food, everything through various online apps, whether it's a Zomato, Swiggy, Big Basket, whatever may be there. So everything is there. It is available because of the technology, and the things which the people couldn't get otherwise, they are now enjoying because of the use of the technology. So we all know that from a very small needle to the aircraft, from the wheel to the computers, and many things, they are the outcome of the technology. Various things which makes the life easy, like washing machines, refrigerator, and so many things, television. And now this Alexa type of things. These are all the examples of technology. So technology refers to the tools, it refers to the machines and a collection of techniques that is used to solve the real world problems. Just you see that your workplace, how technology has evolved and shaped through the adoption of the tools like the internet and email for communication, word processing, spreadsheets, presentations for office productivity, everything we are using for record keeping, and then robots, artificial intelligence, automation. So technology is automation. It is machinery. It is computers, machines, mechanization, robotics. That is the fourth industrial era in which we are living now. It also means to fulfill a human purpose. So to make the life easy, we use different types of the technologies. You must be aware about the information technology, which includes this multimedia, e-commerce, computing, online banking, online transaction, online advertisements. Then communication technology is another form of the technology through which we use this internet, wireless, teletext, video text, GPS, so many things. That is the part of the communication technology, because communication technologies have changed our planet from a land-based territory to the virtual grid, in which we may speak more often and identify more closely with persons who are residing hundreds and hundreds, rather I should say thousands of miles away, at a distance of the thousands miles with the members of our global community. This is because of the communication technology which we are using. Then electronic technology is another type of the technology which you find that digital cameras, smartphones, then interactive sensors. These are all the outcome of this electronic technology we are using. Radar is one of them. Medical technology, which speaks of billions, because this is very important, like pacemakers, ventilators, that saves the life of the human being. That is for the good health of the human being. Surgical robots have come. so that it is enhancing the medical treatment, how to administer that is through the medical technology. Mechanical technology, we all know that the vehicles, the cars manufactured by using mechanical robots, 3D printers, that is now coming up in this mechanical technology. Biotechnology is also one of the kind of the technology that is producing the biological weapons for creating organic products like milk and baking this bread using microorganism. So many things. That is the use of the this biotechnology. Nuclear technology is another form of the technology. Material technology, gene technology, basically used for the genetic modification of crop, plants, and livestock, and the laboratory model organisms. And very recently, now the government of India, the Parliament has also passed one of the Amendment Act in the criminal procedure that is relating to the Criminal Procedure Identification Act of 2022 that speaks about the forensic technology. So this field is one of the fastest growing field, which includes the biosensors, the fingerprint analysis, the DNA, the blockchain-based solutions, cloud forensics, drone forensics, different types of the forensic checks, and what forensic things have been checked by this used by this forensic technology. And many types of the analysis can be made through the use of this forensic technology. Forensic carbon 14, that is dating regarding to identify the age of the person concerned. So as I told you that in India, this act has received the assent of the president also, and it is waiting for its notification. So it is basically authorizing the police to take measurements of the convicts and others for the purpose of identification and investigation in the criminal matters to preserve records. And there are many more technologies like digital technology. We find the use of the digital technology like electronic voting, facial recognition, programs for various purposes, digitalization of the justice, and you see in China, they have started robot judges also, and immigration system, many things through this digitalization or digital technology, which is one of an extension of the artificial intelligence also. So online submission of the tax returns, these are now becoming the norms. And there are access to the government services also, like food distribution, access to education, healthcare, and special services for the aging and for those persons who are disabled, who are living in disabilities. So these are all things which we find that the technology has, on the one hand, made the life easy. As a result of this digital welfare state, we also see that they are coming up in many of the countries. And the social protection and the assistance systems are increasingly driven by this digital data also. The technology is used to automate, to predict, to identify, monitor, and to punish also. But technology can be used in the ways that curtail the rights and deepen inequality. One of the example, as rightly given by Professor Mir, is that digital divide. Yes, it is there, and it is creating or it is enhancing the inequality. So the rapid development in the technological fields, whether it is artificial intelligence, automation, or robotics, that raise serious questions about the potential which are having an adverse impact on the human rights and the future of the work also, particularly with reference to the rights of the workers, employability issues, because there are examples and many surveys that the Amazon, their work of packing and fulfilling that goods, that is being done by the robots, not by the human being. So employability and right to work is one of the issue there. The growth of these technologies raises important questions about whether our current policies, our legal systems, documentation and advocacy strategies are sufficient to reduce the human rights risks, and that may result, many of which are still unknown to us also. So the use of technology also poses many questions. Can technology be used as a powerful force in support of human rights? What are the risks which can be associated with technologies for the fulfillment of human rights? How the new technologies such as the artificial intelligence, automation, blockchain, they are impacting the human rights of the people. Can we ensure that technological advances do not aggravate inequality, particularly among the most marginalized persons? The role of technologies and its impact on the sustainable development? Or can technology promote human rights also, because it is having both negative and positive impact? So technology can be used for human rights, for its betterment, to establish the human rights, or it can be used to worsen, to violate the human rights, to restrict the human rights. Though international instruments like UDHR, ICSCR, and ICCPR, they have the provisions to get the sheer benefits of the scientific advancement. Article 27, as Dr. Rehana was also speaking about, of UDHR, that affirms everyone has the right to participate in and benefit from the scientific advancements and to be protected from scientific misuses also. Article 15B of the ICSCR, that emphasizes the right to enjoy the benefits of scientific progress and its applications, and also it is also focusing on the full realization of this right for the development and for the freedom that is indispensable for scientific research. But you see the Brandt report of 1980s and many other literatures that showed that while 51% of the scientific skills of the world was used for manufacture of armaments, only 1% of the world's scientific skills were used for solving the problems of developing world. So this report is very important. As we know that law moves very slowly while technology moves with lightning rapidity, so there are significant gaps in addressing many issues that arise from the use of the technologies. In common law countries, if you see, the remedies precedes rights, but human rights are aspirations which can be declared even in the absence of the remedies. Since the scientific technologies are interfering with the various aspects of the human being, human rights challenges arising from this process are numerous and diverse. For example, first of all, the very important human right, the right to life, liberty, and security of person. It is guaranteed both under the UDHR Article 6 and ICCPR under Article 9, that everyone has the right to liberty, right to security of the person. But the science, biology, medicine, and the technology, the gene technology, the nuclear technology, the artificial intelligence, etc., can determine or influence the birth and death. We know new technology can enhance or they can threaten the human rights associated with our work, with our death, and personal safety and security. The problems may be posed by the abortion, IVF, embryo transplantation, euthanasia techniques. Many are the examples for this. And as a result of the scientific advances, it is possible through prenatal and even prenatal screening before conceiving the child to determine whether a fetus is afflicted with certain defects or not. Suppose if the test says that a deformed child is to born, then can that be considered a burden to the society in the modern welfare state? There may be a conflict with the individual interest and that of the prospective mother, whether to give birth to the child or get abortion. In both cases, it's a matter of life and death, which is a fundamental right, which is a human right of the person concerned, right to live, right to life. And if she goes for the abortion, would it be violation of right to life of the child in womb? These are few points which need to be evaluated in terms of the human rights. Now, drones, you see that they can be used to identify the threats to a group of people. Drones can also be deployed as weapons. The personal safety of the individuals may be enhanced through the Internet of Things. So this right to life, which is declared under the Universal Declaration as well as in the ICCPR as a human right, because of the use of technology, on the one hand, we see that there is a violation of the human right of the human being. But if we see the positive side of the technology, then we also find that how the technology is saving the life of the common. Right to standard of living is one of the human right, adequate for the health and well-being of the human being. What is family, which includes the food, clothing, housing, everything, medical care, which are necessary, and which is a human right under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So on the one hand, scientific and technological progress that can provide the new norms, new forms of the discrimination, as well as security issues in the exercise of this life, right. Lack of access to medical information can also affect adversely to the right to health. As you are all aware, being in Kashmir, that how the internet facilities were not made available to the citizens in that state, and what was the effect and impact of that, so that the Supreme Court has to go to the extent of saying in Anuradha Bhasin that this is protected under Article 19, 1A and 21 of the Constitution, right to internet. So this lack of access to medical information, which can be available, which can be made available through the use of the internet, that is also adversely affecting the right to health. With the use of the AI in medical, the accuracy of diagnosis and the treatment of the disease is significantly improving, a positive impact of the technology. During the corona crisis, you all must be aware that how to trace and track the affected persons, that has been done. New age technologies and AI-based systems were used very effectively. Different automated digital platforms, they have been invented for the proper vaccination drive to uphold the right to life of the person. The scientific technologies have high impact on health sector. And these technologies are the perfect medium, I can say, to achieve the goal of right to health. A person with diabetes can wear a watch that automatically monitors his blood glucose fluctuations and administers insulin when required. But the Internet of Things also presents the platforms for cyber crime, mind it. Because every technology which we are using is having both the impacts, negative and positive. So this cyber crime, abuse, exploitation, manifestations, bullying, intimidation, these are all the threatening conducts. These are all the outcomes of the use of the technology. On the one hand, we are using it for the purpose of the good health. On the other hand, we are also faced towards the cyber crime. Then the right to freedom of opinion and expression and the right to information is another human right, which is again declared under the UDHR Article 19 and also ICCPR Article 19, which confirms the right to, that is freedom to hold opinions without any interference, to seek, to receive, and to impart information. And that is given under Article 19 of the UDHR as well as under Article 19, 1 and 2 of ICCPR. In that way, we see that the development of the microelectronic communication technology that have changed the conditions in which this right is exercised. It is most vulnerable right, which has been affected by the use of the technologies. Since the medium of expression are changing from print media to electronic media, the new issues are coming up. and posing a legal challenge for the regulation of these digital technologies. The right to information and freedom of expression seems to be a very crucial factor in transforming scientific and technological progress. That is conducive for instance, the cheaper and more efficient means of communication, which have evolved over the past few decades. They have served to increase the flow of information across borders of all kinds, geographical, political, industrial, or interpersonal. Thus, the right to freedom of expression, and in particular, the right to information, is enhanced by the use of the technology. However, it must be acknowledged that the same advances in technology that afford the human beings greater access to information also permits the governments and the other bureaucrats to gain even tighter control of that information. As I just told you, the Criminal Procedure Identification Act of 2022, which says that it will keep the records, it will preserve the records of the measurement and other investigation through forensic technology, use of the forensic technology. So we see that the communication of the information to wide audiences increases the dangers posed by the dissemination of the faulty or distorted information also. Because whatever types of the information we are getting from the social media to the use of the communication technology, all these informations are correct or not. We are not authorized to see these news items or these reports, these postings, whether they are authenticated or not. We have to see whether these informations which we are getting from there, these informations are correct or not. These are some of the points which we need to know, because information should not include misinformation. Very recently, the Supreme Court has come out with this Facebook versus Delhi Legislative Assembly case on that point also. Besides that, we have another cases and another guidelines issued by the Supreme Court, Sxaena, in this Pegasus case also. So many of the things which includes this information, many interruptions we get from our cell phones because we are using that for our information. So we are getting the interruptions also during daytime, during night time, because we are receiving the emails, text messages, alerts, and so many things are there. And this situation could be a problem as life. And research have shown also that frequent interruptions could decrease the concentration, and they can reduce the effectiveness of our work. They even cause some unwelcome changes in the brain also of the person who are using these gadgets for the use of the social media, for getting the information. Though freedom of speech and expression is a human right, right to information is a human right. And the information which we are getting from the use of these technological devices, we have to see that we have to use these devices in a very regulated method. Then right to education is another human right, in which again I should say that there is an impact of the technology, which is again guaranteed under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article 26 speaks about everyone has the right to education. Education as a free education in the elementary stage, fundamental stage, technical and professional education. So this education is a fundamental human right under Article 26 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Then we find that because of the digital divide, particularly during these last two years, we have found that many of the students who couldn't have the gadget to join the classes, they have committed suicide. This is because of the digital divide. This is because of the inequality, and this is not only in India. I have surveyed the things that this is digital divide is something which is there in US also, which is in the other European countries also. It's not confined to India, because we are having more and more citizens who are living in the below the poverty line. They are not able to get the gadgets. They are not able to have these smartphones and the laptops or other things through which they can join the classes. But This is the thing that is also we find in US. So the point here is that right to education is a human right. And because of the digital divide, the students, they are not able to get the education. Though education is a human right and everyone has to use, everyone has the right to have the education. But because of the digital divide, they are not able to take the education. On the other hand, this technology has not the technology has given the all the rights to those persons who could be able to take the classes through online mode. All education system that is supported the online mode classes by the use of the technological or electronic resources. We find that this is one of the best instance of the impact of scientific technologies that can be seen during the COVID-19 period in a positive way. Negatively, digital divide is always there. Then a right to work is a human right. Article 23 of the UDHR prescribes for this, that right to work or to free choice of the employment, that's a human right. ICSCR Article 6 speaks about the right to work as a human right. But the point is that seems that the scientific technologies are creating unemployment also, because these sophisticated and automated technologies are displacing or replacing the human labors in various sectors. The increasing use of the artificial intelligence and automation is disrupting the global job market also. These technologies are significantly impacting the right to fair and decent work. A number of technologies are advancing, like artificial intelligence, robotics, additive manufacturing, 3D printing, synthetic biology. So these will and are fundamentally changing the individual lives and the societies. This right to work, which is a human right, this is also being impacted by the technology. So technology, on the one hand, it is making the life easy because of various machines have come and those are producing the things in a multiplying manner. On the other hand, the workers, they are being displaced, they are being retrenched from their jobs. So this is the impact of the technology also. And right to privacy, as rightly discussed, Article 12 of the UDHR and Article 17 of the ICCPR that provides for the right to privacy, which says that there shall not be any interference in the privacy in the family or the home or any of the correspondence on the honor or reputation of the person concerned. So privacy is a fundamental human right, and that is also essential to human dignity. The development in the recording, surveillance devices, mobile phone, satellite-based use, this location computation technology, like GPS system or smart tags, biometric or this RFID, personality test, many other communications and digital techniques through social media, electronic media, they have all considerably, you see, changed the ways how to live. And these technologies were not originally invented for invasion of privacy, but they are being used for the purpose in which privacy could not be protected. So valuable information such as the personal data of the individual that can be collected, processed, and stored. There exist many opportunities to advance these human rights efforts, which we see that with the aid of various technology tools, but there is also a growing need to ensure the safety and security of the citizens in a world of globalized surveillance. And this right to privacy is more vulnerable human right in the era of the social media also, because the digital platform termed as the social media are the form of the communication, and based on the networking, broadcast, telecast the information through social network sites, be it Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, or whatever, MySpace. So social media has profound impact on the right to privacy and freedom of speech and expression. Simple technologies like smartphones allow evidence to be captured on site and broadcast to the world as a whole. So what we see is that advancements in science and technology have so far proved mixed blessings with respect to protection of human rights. And particularly if we see the advancement or growth of the technologies, especially in the last decades or 15 years back, that has had a tremendous impact and challenges on the human rights. And these challenges drive us back to the timeless principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is available to each of us as a human being. But most of the core human rights and freedoms like privacy, health, employment, physical integrity, freedom of speech and expression are being affected by the advancement of these technologies, as they are all dependent on the technology. So at the same time, it cannot be denied that digital technology particularly has delivered many benefits for upholding the developing human rights in a very, very vast manner. Enormously, it has been developing, but still there are some risks which we need to tackle ourselves by showing some diligence. We need to create awareness among people, among public, which is very low. Most of the people are cyber illiterate due to complexities of the system and lack of the trainings. We are all being profiled. This artificial intelligence monitors our health. Medical wearables like Fitbit may be soon prescribed by the doctors. We are always connected with. Our phone, our smartphones is our DNA with almost 14, 15 sensors, GPS, camera, Wi-Fi, social media, and so on. So scientists have reported adverse health effects also of using these mobile phones, including the change in the brain activity, reaction time, and sleep patterns also changed, and also increase the risk of the traffic accidents. Our addiction to our mobile devices and potentially of this future wearables might further disconnect us from the physical environment around us. As I told you, that it is also impacting the human environment. For example, the spouse, the children who need positive and constructive human attention, the parental attention that is necessary for their development, we are disconnecting ourselves from them, because at the same time we are using the mobile phones. All the members of the family, they are busy in their mobile phones. They are not talking to each other. They are disconnecting themselves. So this is also making an impact on the human attention, on the positive development of the children, on the positive development of the family as a whole, on the positive development of the human being. They have become just human beings in our physical vicinity and online friends. Finally, I would say that we are in the midst of a massive digital transformation that has affected every aspect of the society. Technology has brought many challenges to the enjoyment of human rights. The test for the governments, private sectors, members of the civil society, and the technology community is whether through multi-stakeholder or collaboration, they can develop proactive and holistic policies. Policies that can ensure that the technology is used to increase both freedom and security, and that the benefit of the technology is spread to all the people. We also need to keep a watch on our activities and self-control in using, misusing, overusing gadgets, considering ourselves as human being, not a robot. I'll not be discussing many cases which have already been discussed in the welcome note by Professor Farooq Mir, right from A.K. Gopalan to Maneka Gandhi, in between many of the cases which speaks about the S.D.Sharma case, Khaled Singh case, and then after Maneka Gandhi, one more case I would like to discuss here is that the media professional case, and rather Hasim case, Fahima Rahim case, and this Facebook case. So all these cases are in one way or the other speaking about the use of the technology on the one hand and the violation of the human rights or the fundamental rights on the other hand. But the point here is that it is we who have to watch ourselves, who have to watch our own activities. We have to have a self-control on ourselves in using of these all gadgets, because they are making our life speedy, they are making our life easy also. But on the other hand, if we are misusing that, then of course it is going to affect us, it is going to impact our human rights. And we need to enjoy our human rights, which have been declared right from 539 BC. So we find that in this situation, technology, which should be used for the in the positive manner, which should be used for the benefit of the society, which should be used for making the life easier. As branded report says that 51% is being used for using of the armament and 1% only for the developing world. So that number or that ratio has to be increased, so that more and more good facilities and technological advancement may be impacting the benefit of their scientific researches for the human being, and they can enjoy their human rights. They should not be treated as the robot. So with these words, I stop myself, and I'm sorry for not elaborating on the rights, human rights through the case law, because I have some meeting also. I'm getting messages again and again. So with these words, I stop here. And thanks to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share my views on this very important issue, which is affecting, which is impacting our life in a daily manner. And thereby we have to keep a vigil also, not only on ourselves, but if we know something about technology, we should take care of training the others also, so that they may also be saved from the use of the access technology. Thank you very much.
And it's enlightened legislation.